Say hello to my little friend. This is Dean. Say hello. It's Dean, everybody. So, minigames. What are my plans for minigames? At risk of over-explaining myself, for those of you who don't know, minigames are extremely important for my game, which may seem a little bit odd considering I'm making a quasi-Yandere Simulator inspired game, but they serve a very specific function, and that is to raise and lower your stats. And the stats are what determines whether or not your love interest actually has interest in you. Currently, there are 15 stats that will affect how your love interest wants you. Smarts, muscles, style, charm, kindness, mystique, wisdom, etiquette, memory, creativity, humor, rhythm, wit, money, and confidence. The minigames fall into one of 15 categories. Each category will raise some stats while lowering others. The idea is to make the player have some strategic choice of which stats to prioritize that given day. There's a list of the categories and which stats they affect and in what way in the description. I was gonna write it out here, but that can be something that you guys review on your own time. I don't need to sit here and be like, biological research raises smarts for 15 categories. It's too much. So what categories exist? Biological research, alchemical research, historical research, mathematics, muscle training, cooking, cult, geographical research, botany, philosophical research, art, music, law, theater, and merchandising. I get comments pretty much every video saying that I've scoped too far and that my game is now fucked because of it, but what I've just described to you is basically a third of the game. I'm not expecting this to be something I just make and then have it work and then it's just there and it's going to be done in a week. Like, this is something I'm going to be spending some time on. Chances are I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time on this. The other things are far simpler. This is like a varied array of things that I have to do that are quite different from each other. Unlike things like weapons where I can make like a base weapon class, I can't do that with minigames because they're all separate and different. So this will take a while. This is probably like the thing that's going to take the most work, is making a minigame for each of these categories. And we'll start with one and make it very, very, very simple, or as simple as I possibly can make it, just so that we can have something to do. I still want it to not be shit, but just so that there's something to do that is somewhat fun or compelling. So while I make these games, because they're going to be taking a long time, when you play a minigame, you'll have an option to select which category that it's going to be affecting, essentially. So even if there's only 2 minigames out of 15, you'll have the ability to affect each of your stats as if there were the full 15. This way I can make a gameplay loop and then ship out a new version of the game, as opposed to just going, well, you can't win. It's been a while since I've actually put out a public build of the game, and it's not that like I don't want to, it's that there literally hasn't been a good enough version of the game while I've been doing the things I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes work, which allows me to make videos for stuff, but not release a public build of the game that you guys can play. If you want to play what I've been producing, the Patreon is there. It costs $1 to get access to the entire list of in-progress builds that I've been making. So if you want to play that, the link is in the description. So with all that said, what are my ideas for some of the games? Well, you already know that I have a fishing minigame. That was one of the first things I did. Now, the fishing minigame is kind of, it is terrible. It's real shit. The fishing minigame sucks. It's the kind that you find in like Stardew Valley, where it's a ping pong ball that moves back and forth, and then there's like a randomly generated catch zone. It's not very good. I just wanted the first minigame in my game to be a fishing minigame of some variety, right? Now, of course, that doesn't affect the stats, so I'm not prioritizing it, but I did want that to be technically the first game that I made was the fishing minigame. And so that can be like laid down as fact. First minigame made, fishing. It's shit, but it is the first one I made. Each frame, the top right pixel and the top left pixel has their coordinates checked, and if either one of them falls within the range that defines the box, if you click catch, then you win. This worked better than using hitboxes. Originally, I just went for area node 2Ds, but the signals that they were using actually were kind of slow. They were a little too slow, so you would end up inaccurately losing the game or catching the fish when you shouldn't have. So checking the coordinates actually made more sense to do. It worked better, it feels better. It's not really an expensive thing to do, so that's what we did. This way you don't experience what I experienced, where you click catch fish and then it tells you to eat ass and die. As I've said before, my ideas for the fishing minigames are basically anything besides actual fishing minigames. I really do want to have one that is like action bass, where you are casting out a rod into some 3D space and the fish are like doing their thing and then they see a bait and they catch it, which involves a finite state machine. By the way, there's like, having a good finite state machine is invaluable. It's very, very important, super useful. There's a reason I was like so fucking autistic about it. Like, it's kind of important to get right, since if you're gonna, you need one that fits your bill. The old one was simply not good enough. Not that it was bad, it just didn't fit my purposes. But I'm thinking, like, you play tic-tac-toe with this fish, you play poker with this fish, you take the fish and you beat it against the side of the frame like interactive buddy to catch this fish. That kind of stuff. Stuff that is unrelated. While the fishing minigames exist and they're very rare, I'm thinking they'll be more along the lines of you get that minigame and then maybe like you fish up a kelpie and now the kelpie's added to like your NPC pool. For muscle training, we already have the Infinite Runner. It's a very simple game as minigames go. You've played Subway Surfer. The longer you go, the better your score, the more the multiplier for your stats ends up being. That's it. It's very, very simple. It's something you would find in like Neopets. Actually, you know what? I should look at Neopets for like minigame inspiration. That would make sense. I should do that. Honestly, the minigame that I am most excited to work on is a little complicated, but I think it'll be really, really fun, and that is the Cultist minigame. And the idea is that you're one of several different cult leaders in the area, trying to convert as many followers as you can in the allotted time frame. So the way that it would work is that you start off with one follower, and the longer your follower believes in your cult, the bigger their area of effect grows. So the way that you convert the non-believers wandering around the map is that you just have to stand near them, and as long as they're in your sphere of influence, they will slowly be converted into your religion. And then once they are converted, they get their own sphere of influence and they can start converting other people. And the longer they're part of your religion, the stronger their sphere of influence becomes. This is so when they meet a follower of a different cult, they can like duke it out. So it's pretty simple the way that that works. In my head, it's more of they like start chipping away at the sphere of influence's strength. And so like if you have one guy at 150 strength and another guy at 200, by the end of it, that guy will be at 50 and that guy will be converted anew. So you get weakened. That's how that works. That's essentially it. So you get like, 5-10 minutes maybe. I think 10 minutes will be a little long, but like 5 minutes. And you get one follower to start with, so that way you get like a nice strong guy in your back line. You go off and you start converting people, and that's basically it. So whoever gets the most followers by the end, that determines your multiplier. There'd be like 5th place would be like -1, 4th place would be like a multiplier of 1, then 2, then 3, and you get the picture. So if you do really poorly, you get negative. I always want to provide a way to do negative, because the way that the stats work is that you gain some, you lose others, and providing a negative multiplier means that you can actually, there's a little bit more thinking involved of like, oh, I need this stat, so I need to fucking face plant into that tombstone as it comes at me during muscle training. I need to do shit at this. I need to die in like super quick, so that way you can take advantage of both sides of that in a more strategic way. I think that provides more gameplay, more fun, more thinking, a better experience overall. But each of these mini-game categories needs a specific location, and I've written a few out, and I'm welcome to hear any locations you think would be good, or any mini-games for each of the categories you think would be good to have. Of course, like I'm not a mastermind. I'm very much open to suggestions. Anyway, so some of the locations I have in mind are a pond, of course, the church, the player house, the library, the laboratory, a garden, the graveyard, the market, and a cult area, which I imagine will be like a little separate thing. In my head, it's like a separate thing with like stones, stone pillar type things, and a evil magic circle that like teleports you to like a new, like a different area to explain why as like an in-universe explanation as to why you're like in a new town instance type thing. Regardless, that's my idea, you know. But yeah, so that's pretty much my idea for minigames. Now, in a slightly more code-related update, I got a really nice comment from this guy telling me that in fact I should use composition instead of inheritance for like my NPC civilian interlocutor situation that I had going on, and they said that in fact composition would be better, and they are in fact correct. And I read that and I was like, oh yeah, that is correct. We spent like 6 hours or so making that happen. It took a little while. That's pretty much it. That's the video. That's the update. Let me know if you guys have any ideas about locations that we can have or mini games that we can have. Again, there is a list in the description for what the categories are and what stats they affect. Beyond that, I'd like to thank everybody on Patreon, Ko-fi, and Twitch who help keep this channel alive. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.